Explosive scenes illuminated Israel's nocturnal skyline as defense systems intercepted numerous drones launched by Iran. Israeli military spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari disclosed that their defense mechanisms identified a barrage of incoming drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles from Iran and its allies. Hagari emphasized collaborative efforts with regional allies to safeguard Israel, asserting successful interception of the majority of hostile projectiles. Despite initial concerns, Israeli authorities reported minimal damage, with only one child injured and minor harm to a military installation. Anticipating the attack, Israeli schools closed early, and civilians were advised to seek refuge. Concurrently, neighboring countries such as Jordan, Iraq, and Lebanon shut down their airspace, while U.S. President Joe Biden abruptly ended his Delaware trip to convene with his National Security Council. Biden reassured unwavering U.S. support during a call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, underscoring American assistance in neutralizing the incoming threats. Iran characterized the recent assault as a response to Israel's earlier strike on an Iranian diplomatic compound in Damascus. Despite the barrage of drones targeting Israel, Iran's United Nations mission suggested that the issue could be considered resolved, while cautioning against further violence in the event of Israeli or American retaliation. Following the attack's conclusion, Iranians gathered outside the British embassy in Tehran. Leaders from the UK, Europe, and Canada condemned Iran's actions as reckless, unacceptable, and destabilizing to the region. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres also urged an immediate halt to hostilities. However, Israel has indicated its intent to retaliate against Iran's aggression. The UN Security Council is set to deliberate on measures to prevent direct conflict between the two nations on Sunday. A former economic advisor to the Israeli military disclosed on Sunday that Israel allocated more than $1 billion toward its defense efforts, aimed at intercepting Iran's series of drone and missile attacks late on Saturday. General Reem Admiral, as quoted by the Israeli daily Yedioth Ahronoth, stated that the expense for defense on the previous night was approximated to be between 4 to 5 billion shekels, equivalent to $1.08 to $1.35 billion. He mentioned that the expense of intercepting an Iranian ballistic missile with a single Arrow missile is $3.5 million, while one David Sling missile costs $1 million. Additionally, there are costs associated with the sorties of aircraft involved in intercepting Iranian drones. I'm specifically referring to intercepting what the Iranians launched, not the minor injuries incurred this time. Yehoshua Kaliski, a senior researcher at the Institute for National Security Studies think tank in Tel Aviv, informed the Wall Street Journal that the expenses were significant, likening them to Israel's expenditures during the 1973 Arab-Israeli conflict. The amount spent by Iran on its attacks remains undisclosed. However, The Guardian noted that ballistic missiles in the country can reach costs of up to $99,937 or 80,000 pounds. Late on Saturday, Iran initiated approximately 350 missile and drone attacks against Israel as a reprisal for an assault on Iran's consulate in Syrian Damascus on April 1st. Iranian state television reported that the assault, attributed to Israel, resulted in the deaths of a minimum of 16 individuals, among them 2 high-ranking commanders from the Quds Force branch of the Revolutionary Guard Corps. Israel has neither confirmed nor denied its involvement in the consulate assault. Iran had pledged to execute a retaliatory strike in response to the incident. According to Daniel Hagari, the spokesperson for the Israeli army, Tel Aviv successfully intercepted 99% of Iran's missiles and drones. However, a few ballistic missiles managed to breach Israeli defenses and struck the Nevatim air base located in the southern part of the country. Hagari highlighted that Iran's endeavor to disable the Israeli Air Force's capabilities has been unsuccessful, emphasizing that the Nevatim base remains operational. However, Tehran claimed that half of the missiles successfully struck Israeli targets. The attacks occurred against the backdrop of Tel Aviv's lethal military campaign in the Gaza Strip, resulting in the deaths of 33,797 Palestinians, predominantly women and children. On October 7th, Israel initiated an aerial and ground military campaign in the Gaza Strip and has subsequently directed its attacks toward neighboring nations, primarily Lebanon and Syria. The recent assaults and tensions have heightened international apprehensions about a broader conflict in the region. Iran and Israel are widely regarded as bitter adversaries in the region, engaging in a covert conflict for many years. The covert conflict between Iran and Israel concluded on April 13th as Iran launched 170 drones along with 150 cruise and ballistic missiles from its territory towards Israel. This action marked the Islamic Republic's response to Israel's destruction of an Iranian diplomatic facility in Damascus 12 days prior. Tehran's audacious and unprecedented maneuver, which took many by surprise, plunges the Middle East into unfamiliar territory. Carefully planned, deliberate, and forewarned by the Iranians, their retaliatory strike was intended to minimize harm to civilians and infrastructure, a goal it successfully achieved. Only one casualty was reported, and with assistance from American, British, French, and Jordanian forces, the Israelis managed to intercept most of the drones and missiles. Israeli military sources stated that only one air base in the Negev incurred minor damage. In an interview with the New Arab, Dr. Ali Vaez, director of the Iran project at the International Crisis Group, remarked that Iran's response was intended to be attention-grabbing but not deadly. However, the retaliatory strike carried considerable symbolic weight. For years, Iran had engaged in confrontations with Israel indirectly, using proxy non-state actors in the Arab world, Lebanon's Hezbollah, Yemen's Houthis, Hamas, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza, all while aiming to avoid direct conflict with Israel, which possesses nuclear capabilities. Barbara Slavin, a distinguished fellow at the Stimson Center, conveyed to TNA that the weekend's drone and missile attacks on Israel indicate a departure from Khamenei's previous strategy of strategic patience and mark a significant shift in the ongoing shadow war between these historic adversaries. The rationale behind Tehran's retaliation is clear. Following years of Israeli operations resulting in the deaths of Iranian military personnel abroad, as well as suspected involvement in acts of sabotage and terrorism within Iran, the leadership of the Islamic Republic determined that failing to respond would embolden Israel to persist in such actions without consequences. In Iran's perspective, it's crucial to recognize that the Israeli strike in Syria and the terrorist incidents in Iran's Baluchistan province were interconnected, stated Dr. Shireen Hunter, an honorary fellow at the Center for Muslim-Christian Understanding at Georgetown University and former Iranian diplomat pre-1979. In an interview with TNA, Iran perceives that refraining from responding to these attacks would only encourage further aggression, not just from Israel, but also from other nations. She added that a few months prior, following years of enduring Pakistan's leniency regarding the infiltration of terrorists from its territory into Iran, Tehran launched strikes on terrorist bases within Pakistan. It appears that Iran is signaling an end to tolerating such behavior. This represents a risky approach for Iran. However, it appears that Tehran is indicating, if we face consequences, others will also bear the brunt. Despite the missile strikes targeting Israel, Iran is currently endeavoring to sidestep broader conflict, particularly with the U.S. Iran's internal political dynamics likely played a significant role in Tehran's choice to execute this retaliatory strike. Pressure from Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei's support base compelled the Iranian leadership to react in a manner that preserved their dignity following Israel's assault on Iran's diplomatic facility in Damascus. Iran's state-controlled media has portrayed this retaliatory action as successful in achieving its desired result. Additionally, it's evident that Tehran also needed to convey a message of resilience to Iran-aligned factions in the Arab region to ensure their approval of the Islamic Republic's response. The signal from Iran is unmistakable. Any aggression or hostile action against its assets, territory, or interests will be countered with a response, clarified Dr. Ganche Tazmini, author of Power Couple, Russian-Iranian Alignment in the Middle East, 2023, during an interview with TNA. The fact that this retaliation emanated directly from Iranian territory onto Israeli soil leaves no room for doubt that Iran is resolute in delivering a response, Dr. Tazmini emphasized. This is essentially Iran asserting its position and emphasizing that it will not be subjected to victimization. Thank you for watching. In alignment with current events, Luxury Queens is deviating from its usual content to explore recent developments regarding the Israel-Iran conflict, alongside a quick examination of the military expenditures of each involved party and a concise overview of the historical tensions between the two nations. If you found this content informative, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and ring the bell for future updates. Your support means the world to us, and we look forward to sharing more captivating content with you in our next videos. Until next time, stay curious.
Exploring the pinnacle of luxury with Luxury Queen.